vibrators, and more. This isn't your dad's Friday night programming, but your mom loves it. Welcome to Freaky Friday, hosted by... Damn it didn't work. I have to try again.
Oh my...
Welcome to Freaky Friday, where we dare to talk about taboo topics like fetish, bondage, sex, vibrators, and more. This isn't your dad's Friday night programming, but your mom loves it. Welcome to Freaky Friday, hosted by Mr. Anderson, who is the unboxable, uncanny advocating creator known as the Indie Comics Devil, who will tempt you with his devilish tales of fetish, monsters, and more. Also the giver of free hugs and spetters. Also hosted by content creator Meredith Logring. You never know what's lurking inside of her head. She is also a host of many amazing programs live through Geek Insider. Today, everyone watching this program will get virtual free hugs and spetters. It's time to get on with the show. Welcome to Freaky Friday. Music provided by the YouTube Audio Library. Produced by Silent Partner. Song name, Tied Up. Warning and disclaimer. The views and opinions expressed on this live feed are those of the guests, speakers, and or hosts, and do not necessarily reflect the beliefs, official policies, ethics, or positions of the content providers, advertisers, additional hosts, and or guests, hosting sites, groups, or entities attached to this programming. Viewer discretion is advised. Hello, party people. It's Friday. It's a good Friday to have Freaky Friday. How's everyone doing? Let's go around the room, introduce ourselves. Everyone knows who I am. I'm just famous that way. Heather, tell us who you are.
I'm Heather Ellen. I have Comics and More New Jersey, Comics and More Chaos, the group. And my podcast is Comics, Chaos, and Sass. And I'm part of the Rising Tide Broadcast Network. I also have a background in lingerie, sex toys, and fetish. That was my family business.
That's a business I want to get into. Beth, tell them who you are.
Hi, y'all. I'm Beth Liebling, also known as Beth Darling, the sexy genius. I'm a former divorce lawyer who flipped, and now I help people figure out how to love each other better. It's the foundation for everything we do. So I'm all about lingerie, sexy, fun, pleasure, more and more and more goodness.
I'm Robin, and I'm a divorcee who's bitter. Meredith?
I'm a divorcee, and I love marriage so much I did it twice. But hey, I'm Meredith Logren. I am the associate editor over at Geek Insider, as well as the executive producer of the Geek Insider podcast, and one of two at RAGIN. In fact, I am the Asian of RAGIN, and one of the partners in Continuum Comics. But that is not about tonight. I'm going to pass the mic over to Nita.
I am Nita Lanning. I can be found on social media as Creating Chaos 24/7. I am the Cajun half of RAGIN with the Asian and the Cajun. And I am a partner in Continuum Comics with an X. All right, let's do this.
Hold on. Meredith didn't talk about her Linktree.
Oh, fuck. You better talk about Linktree or Rob loses stock.
No, I'm going to do that in the outro so everybody knows where to follow me, because this is going to be a wonderful conversation.
Linktree.com.
Thank you, Nita. And Rob's stock just went up.
I did it all for you, Rob.
So how do you guys want to start talking about tonight? Where do you want to jump in? We could start with things that vibrate. We can talk about the ways to communicate better with your partners, which I think is super important.
I think that's very important.
Never trust anyone who gets married again. It's like breaking back into freaking marriage.
Oh, come on.
Once and done. Never again.
You made the mistake once. Don't do it again. Don't do it.
Exactly. I learned the first time.
Yep.
See, now my husband, I'm wife number 3 for him. What does that mean?
Why did he do it again?
Three's a charm, okay?
Or 3 strikes, you're out. We're going to
but he told
find
me
out when I come to
for
Florida,
you.
right?
After me, if we don't work out, he might as well just give up the ghost.
Well, if I can pop in here, maybe I think I actually have one very simple key that can really actually help almost anybody stay together or understand what's good, what's bad, and what's missing in their relationship, right? So you've heard of the 5 love languages. Well, that's great, but not a mention about sex, right? So it doesn't get us too far. So what if we think about 5 kinds of intimacy? All right, 5 kinds of intimacy, very, very basic. If we pay attention to these, it's like sugar and protein, right? You might want one, you might have lots of one, but one doesn't make up for the other. So 5 kinds. Start with the basics. Physical intimacy, you could have with somebody on a bus, right? You're just sitting next to them. Emotional intimacy, we might have that here together. We're going to share ourselves, our heart, our stories, and yet we're not physically proximity, right? With them. Emotional intimacy, I say that could be an example of just, emotional. So then sexual. Sorry, we got physical, we got emotional, now sexual. Well, our gynecologist can have sexual intimacy with us, right? Their fingers are in our pussy. Oh, can I say that? Okay, good.
Yes,
Sorry.
you can. Yes, you can.
It wouldn't be out of place. It won't be the first time that word is said on this show.
Okay, I should have, usually I have a listed no naughty words if I have to, maintain.
No, you're good. You're good.
Okay. So our gynecologist, right, might have physical intimacy being right there, sexual, their fingers are in us, and emotional because they've helped us go through shit. But there's no romantic, right? So romantic intimacy is that idea that, ooh, this is sexy, this is hot, right? A $50 blowjob on the street may or may not have any romantic intimacy, right? It might just be a fucking $50 blowjob and get the hell out and be done. A lot of couples are having sex with no emotional intimacy, no romantic intimacy, and then they're wondering what the problem is. All right. The fifth is the key. It's like the cherry on top, right? When you've got the other 4, the 5th one is what I call spiritual intimacy. And it's not being the same religion, right? 2 Catholics can be spiritually aligned. They believe the same dogma. But if they're cheating on their spouses, having an affair, they're both also feeling guilty. That's not spiritual intimacy, right? Spiritual intimacy is actually when we know what we're doing is good for us. It's good for the person we're doing it with. It's good for our families. It's good for the world. So there are a lot of religious couples that might even have romance. They're having sex, physical, emotional, but they hear in their head, ooh, that's bad. Why would he want me to do that? Or God doesn't like me to love him that way. Or God doesn't want me to love her that way or spank her ass, right? Jesus didn't talk about that. So, but spiritual intimacy is when we say, oh my God, no, this is my partner. And I'm giving him and loving him with everything I've got. And it's good. And when we have those 5, it's as close to bliss as we get.
See, and that's something that I've always said, Beth, was that when I'm with a partner, it is destined to be if they hit the 3 spots: my head, my heart, and my vagina.
Heart and hot pocket.
Yeah, that's awesome. And the reason why is because like you can be on the same cerebral level as somebody, and it doesn't touch you anywhere else.
Yeah.
And you can have a great sex life, but if it doesn't hit your heart or your head, then it's not bound to last. It'll be fun for a little while, but it's not bound to last. And so it's like, I love that, the hot pocket. Yeah, because some people don't like the word vagina. So just saying.
Our clit is actually on the outside, right? Our clit isn't part of our vagina. The vagina is inside. Mm-hmm. So our clit's on the outside. I call the whole thing affectionately the pussy because vagina and vulva don't really turn me on, those terms. And
yeah,
I'm a word nerd. Words matter. And I needed a way to get comfortable, like terms of affection. So that's, pussy, ass, cock, spooge, all these things.
Are you a writer too?
I love to write. Yeah. I've written a book and I plan on writing many, many more. Mm-hmm. And awesome. I've been a book for my whole life. So yeah, that's, but yeah, I think when couples acknowledge the 5 kinds of intimacy, I think it becomes easier to recognize where something is lacking and mm-hmm. focus on that. Because otherwise, right, when emotional is missing or romantic, there's a tendency to say, oh, we just aren't having enough sex. We need more sex. Well, no, actually, because again, sex just without those other things is still just that. And
so I did want to kind of go around the room and ask, how do you start that conversation if, let's say, you've been in a long-term relationship and things have felt kind of how do you restart those conversations again? How do you bring that back where you want that intimacy and it feels like it's missing?
Do you want me to answer? Or are you asking?
Well, Heather, go ahead. You haven't.
It depends. It depends on the relationship. With my ex-husband, I tried. You can't, but it doesn't help when he's cheating. So with other relationships, kind of blunt. Say, I really like to try this, or I'd like to try that, something that would lead it towards, or I'm looking for more of this, or set up a romantic night, get some lingerie, take out some accessories that you guys, you like to use, or you want to use, just leave it on the bed, light some candles and put on some music and surprise your partner. Let them come in and shower and relax a little bit from work if they're working, and massages are nice. It's a good way to talk and be touchy without actually having sex yet, and good work way, towards it. But it all depends on what you find works for you for intimacy. Everybody has different things that lead them there. It could be cuddling on the couch or going for a walk. It depends on what works in each relationship.
And Beth, how about you? How do we open up those lines of communication?
I kind of I think of it that it's like you've been on calm waters, so telling your partner, hey, you know what, we're in this boat together and I want to enjoy it, but it's been really calm for a while and I need a little bit of excitement, right? I don't want to tip it over. I'm not looking to get somebody else in. So I think, how about we rock the boat a little bit and give them time to kind of, then throw some ideas out there or whatever. And frankly, I think that if it's been calm waters for 90 days, if you don't have something funny, a story that you want to tell your friends or you're laughing about in your own head, I think that should be the tickler on the calendar, is time to rock the boat. And then it can be from there. If you're nervous, because a lot of people are, we think that when we know someone, it should be easier to start asking for what we really want. But in some ways, it's the opposite. The longer we've been with somebody, the more convinced we become that they think of us a certain way. And we're afraid that they'll change that. They won't respect us, or they'll be shocked or something. And so sometimes write it down, let people pull out. And I love Heather's ideas about just a spontaneous new kind of date night and leaving something out. And that can work really, really well for some people. Other people might need time to feel like they can learn what is going to be expected. They might want to put hands on a new vibrator or read up on how to spank somebody first or whatever. So it depends on who you're with, which approach you take, and mix it up probably too.
Well, and I wanted to actually pass the mic to Rob, because Rob, you've got a BDSM survey. In the community that you're in also, a lot of it is totally about communication. Can you talk a little bit more about that, with about the survey and the communication, how important that is?
Surveys, the survey itself it's a tool. It's a tool to get people to get out of the comfort zone and actually have an honest conversation. 90% of relationships are based upon hiding who you really are. And it's a sad thing to admit that out loud, but it's true. There are so many people who are afraid. I don't have problems with, and this is going to sound like a brag, and it's really not. I don't have a problem with intimacy sexually. I'm a demisexual, so it's emotional stuff that I struggle with. And remember, I'm the divorced guy in the room, so take it with a grain of salt. But I have to connect with the person emotionally to do the other stuff. The other stuff comes second nature to me, but it's also not a problem because I weed out people who are not sexually compatible with me in the very beginning. I'm very open and honest about who I am. I have a tattoo on my leg that identifies it. I talk about it. It's on my dating apps that I'm into this. I make comics about fetish monsters and more. I put it out there. I don't hide who I am. And sometimes I'm told I'm too honest about it. But the BDSM survey is to force you into that honesty, because if you build a relationship on the proper foundation, everything becomes simpler. When you hide who you are in the very beginning, it starts to build a wall. Brick by brick, you're building a wall because you're not really being who you are. You're playing a role. And we've all been in a relationship. And when I was younger, I was very guilty of this. You try to be the best boyfriend in the world. You let that nice side of yourself out. But like the real world, you're not being real. So there's that moment where you stop being fake and you start being real. And there's suddenly like, who did I just meet? the survey is a way of kind of jarring people out of that, having those adult conversations. And it's a very in-depth survey. So it forces people to even self-examine where people might be willing to do things. Like when I was with a young lady that we were kind of going back and forth with some things, and she was like, you'd be willing to be tied up? She did not expect it because I'm so dominant in like nature. And I'm like, I don't care if you tie me up. Just understand how like unruly I'll be, and I'll probably break something. I've already broken handcuffs. I'm not kidding. Or I'll untie myself and you'll wind up tied up. I've done that more than once. So just understand what's going to happen when that happens. I'm not submitting to you. I'm just letting you tie me up. There's a big difference. Like, I'm not going to call you mistress, and if you spank me, you're just going to see the devil. You're not going to see anything fun and sexy. I don't respond to pain that way. But it's having that open communication right out of the gate, having that. I've had less trouble with sexuality in my life because I'm so open to it than I have with real world stuff. I think the real world stuff gets in the way a lot more than the actual sexuality, at least from my experience, because since I was a teenager. Imagine a 16-year-old me. What are your interests? Well, I really want to tie girls up. What? Like, that was not a good thing at 16, but it worked really well during college.
See, I so appreciate that because so I'm a romantic submissive, but I didn't even know this stuff existed until after 23 years of marriage and a divorce, right? It's just, and even probably 4 or 5 years after that. And so I think it's amazing. And the survey, it's so funny. I didn't realize that was yours. I'm pretty sure I know which one. It's awesome. But I think sometimes that we have this idea that, okay, if I'm this, then that's not for me, right? If I'm smart, if I'm successful, if I'm spiritual, then kinky stuff isn't for me. I'm not allowed to want that. That was where I was, right? I was mortified at the idea of being this independent woman and still wanting to be spanked and tied up and all of this stuff. It's just crazy. And now I finally have words and I can describe it as if I'm not turned on, I want to be in charge. To turn me on, I better not be in charge.
I totally understand what you mean. I became aware of me wanting to tie women up, like in a sexual nature, because there was the response when puberty started at 11. And I was raised in a very Orthodox Catholic family. There was no conversation. Wow. And then I went off, and I'm 11 in the 90s now. Actually, 80s. It was still the 80s when I first discovered this. I have dyslexia, can barely read. I go off to the library, and I'm learning to read with comics. I learned to read with a comic and a dictionary. Every word I didn't understand, I looked up. And if I didn't understand that word, I looked up another one. I learned to read the hard way. So I go to the library. The DSM says that I'm basically the danger to society. And I'm not kidding. I say this in a fictitious way. The way I say it is I thought I was going to be the Joker, so I was trying to figure out how to dye my hair green. But when you read that and you're very young, you think, oh, my God, I'm a damaged person. Like, I don't think anyone starts off thinking, hey, I'm going to be a bad guy, but I guess this is my lot. Thank God for the internet. I was, of course, despite being 14, I was 27 and had my own house because you faked your age and you talked about things. But I met a community. And like you said, I didn't know the words to go with what I had. I just knew what I liked. And I wanted the damsel in distress and all that. And then the aspects of it. I even had trouble actually spanking and implementing pain at first because I grew up in a place that was violent. So I had to fight sometimes just in the survival aspect. So to be able to do that sexually, it took a while for me to be comfortable with not understanding that and really understanding, like, I had a friend who turned around and he said, listen, pussy, I want it to be painful. Can you do it or not? And it made me realize it wasn't about hurting them. It was about giving them what they wanted. And you have to get to that level. And that takes so much time and energy, and you have to be willing to put it in. But you have to start by admitting, hey, I might like this. And like you said, you have to drop all that Catholicism, all those preachers who will tell you you're evil for being that. Get rid of all that nonsense and understand if you really believe in God, and I do believe in a universal power, they made you this way. So, baby, go be a freak. Fly the flag, run around. You were designed to be this. Somehow or another, you're meant to do this. So go out and do it. Nita, what are your thoughts?
About what?
Just jump in anywhere. There's so much.
Just repeat the question, Alex.
Be honest. What's your safe word? I know it's gonna be dirty. What? See? Well, tell us, with your experience, how has communication worked when it comes to what you wanted? Did you find yourself having trouble actually expressing it to your partner?
Yeah, for years. Like for a lot of years. And then one day I was like, okay, look, I love you, but we got to talk. And so, God. And so I just laid it out there because I'm blunt. I'm like, look, dude, tie me down. Fucking spank me. That's not hard enough. Harder, 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 harder until we got there. Pull my fucking hair. Bite me. Don't leave fucking hickeys all over me. I don't want to go walking down the street looking like a harlot. Yeah. Oh my God. Why am I even here? Okay, somebody else go now. Meredith, say something else.
Well, so I was going to say I've known my husband since I was 15. All right. And we've been married for, 16 years or something like that. I don't even remember. I lost track. It's just, we're very comfortable with each other. And so we're at the point now where it might be age that affects it. And I'm like, hey, honey, how about that blue pill? And he's like, how about a heart attack? You know, and because he acts, medication affects him differently than other things. You know, like I gave him cold medicine and he was high. He was outside in a bathrobe in the winter looking for a cat that we didn't own. So, you know, there's a bit of fear in there about like, okay, maybe that would hurt him, but it, you know, like, and is that worth our sex life, you know? And again, I think it's a lot of it is that comfortability. A lot of it is it could be physical, it could be age, you know, and I don't know. I mean, part of the reason why, like for me personally, I am trying to lose weight is because for the longest time I stopped feeling sexy. And if he wanted to be intimate, I was just like, no, don't touch me there. And so that was, you know, and so it just we kind of went off to our corners. And it doesn't mean I love him less, and it doesn't mean I don't want to have sex anymore. I mean, no, that's not the case. It's just like, for me, I feel like I'm a work in progress and I'm going to get back there. You know, I want to get the sexy back. And so if that is with maybe using toys or a position or telling him, hey, you want to get tied up? Because he's the unruly bastard too. He's like, no, you're not tying me up. And I'm like, And he's like, no, you don't understand. I'm like, all right, fine. How about tying me up? How about pushing me up against the wall and just being a little bit, you know, rough and doing that kind of play and stuff like that. And so there's that communication, but getting there, you know, has been an issue because of age and for me, and it's not even body shaming, you guys. It's just a matter of like, when I don't feel good, that's not going to make me feel good, you know? So I know that about me. Heather?
You know, since I was separated, dating life was definitely different because I am blunt. I was young when I got with my husband. So being separated and being out in the dating world, it was like, okay, so I'm a sub. I switch with women. I'm bi. I'm good with relationship with either one. And I like it rough. And they're like, well, what do you mean? Here is my toys. Here is my toy collection. These are my accessories. And they're like, holy shit. And you see the guys that either, like, I found that I don't attract vanilla men to begin with, or women for that matter. But you can tell they either are really interested or scared to death, and then they ghost. And that's fine. But it's been interesting because I'm not shy. You can't be. I mean, I met Beth at lingerie trade shows for business. I mean, you walk around and there's half naked women and there's toys and there's, you know, vibrators, and there's all sorts of, you never know what you're going to see or what's going to happen. But I mean, that's where I grew up in that industry, and I didn't grow up in a conservative household. As much as my parents were conservative, they sold to dungeons. They were sales reps. They sold to strip clubs. We talked about crotchless panties at the dinner table, or dildos. So this is how I grew up, and we all worked the family business. We all worked the summers, the office, or putting the parents' road lines in order. And I mean, I was in kindergarten when I knew that teddies were not necessarily stuffed animals and what pasties were. So I grew up very different. To me, sex is sex. I can't have it unless there's an emotional connection and a relationship. I can't do flings. I can't do one night stands. They aren't for me. But with the relationship, yeah, it's just like, okay, what are we going to try? I know my limits. I know my soft limits. I know my hard limits. And I know the things I still want to try. And I'm not shy about it. And I figure if somebody can't handle it, but I'm not I'm not married. It's different when you're in a long-term relationship. It's a lot harder to bring up versus just meeting someone and screening and vetting. It makes a big difference.
And it's funny, I grew up in a very repressed household. I grew up Jewish. I say Jews and Catholics, right? We've got guilt in common. So I learned that lesson very young, very good at guilt.
Southern Baptist.
Oh, wow, yeah, even more. And the reason that I say I preach and teach love now is because I needed somebody to talk to me and to teach me this, and I couldn't find. I couldn't find what I was looking for. Somebody to talk about it in a way that made sense, that gave more than just the physical, right? That recognized that emotional and that there's more to it, or there can be, right? And if you're into just hookups and just the physical aspects of sexy, that's cool too, right? We just all have our own version of crazy, whatever that crazy is. And it's nice to be able to be in this group and have everybody have their own taste and opinions, and to be able to share them and open up. And Nita, I was going to say, like, I so appreciate that you're shy about this, right? But you're still willing to share, because it's not because you need to, it's because someone out there
makes me brave.
As long as you don't regret it. But really, we need to hear this.
Regret it later.
This is what we need. We need examples. We need to see what it looks like, and to know that we're not the only ones, because we're not. And just one thought, by the way, I was going to say, when you're like harder, a very easy way to do that is to give it on a scale of, say, 1 to 10 or 1 to 100, and just kind of say, oh, you're spanking me, that's like a level 3.
No, not with this. We started off on like a sub-0 thing. It was like, nah, dude.
Yeah. Well, once we can quantify it a little bit, then somebody's got some idea how much, where they really are, and it can be very helpful in terms of moving forward.
It was like you want to punch your boss in the face, like, yeah, like, or you need to kick somebody's ass because they fucked with your kids, like, okay,
yeah. No consent. That's the rule.
Yeah, I mean that, and it's all about communicating that, and then understanding that they might have limits too. Like, that might be beyond their comfortability to do that.
That was my fear.
Yeah, but you don't know until you talk about it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
But so now we're almost at the half an hour mark, and I kind of wanted to talk about the toys. Like, how do Nita's gonna die? Nita might actually drop out. I hope she doesn't. I hope she doesn't.
I hope she doesn't.
But like the toys, a lot of times, like, people, there are so many that are out there, and people don't know what, right? And they don't know, like, what might be the best fit for me. What is the, like, how does it feel and stuff like that. And it's not like one thing that you can try and send back. It's not like a toaster. You know
what makes it traumatic here, Meredith?
What?
It's your mouth.
Me?
Yes, it's you. Because, like, you are innocent and awesome and my fucking spiritual guide, and you have already used the word pussy in front of me tonight, and it does something to me. Oh my fucking God. I have some post-traumatic stress issues, especially after the package I got. Do you know how long it took me to disassociate you from that? And now thank you, because now that's in my head again. And now I'm just going to be like, I'm going to be fucking angry for weeks, and it's going to be your fault.
I sent the toy, you'll be fine.
I sent her a toy.
And if she used it, she wouldn't be angry.
So my son and daughter-in-law used to work. I owned a shop, Darling Way in Houston, darlingway.com, and they managed my shop for almost 3 years. And my granddaughter is like 14, but she's grown up with this, and it's amazing that it's like what Heather got, right? She's comfortable talking to me about stuff, and she sends me questions to use for my sexy trivia events, and it's like. Yeah. And I would teach workshops on how to blow his mind while loving his body. And my son's like, I'm leaving. But my daughter-in-law would be there. And then afterwards she'd be like, you need to mention this.
Right. Yeah. And it's kind of funny because I've mentioned this before. I love writing erotica. I love writing the things that, and part of it is just my imagination. Like, oh yeah, and when I'm writing and it's hot and I'm feeling hot and I'm like, hey honey, you want to do some research? And that frightens him. So, but I grew up where we didn't talk about it at all. I mean, that was never a part of the conversation. And I think it wasn't until my sister, I think it was my sister who had one of the toy parties, and we started having these conversations, and then she was going away and her best friend gave her a toy. And, and so there's a vibrator in her purse and she's going through the airport and they're like, you have to empty out your purse. And she just dumps out her purse, forgot that it was in there. And she's like, yeah, I get bored sometimes, but it's like, I don't think that there's any shame in that. And I don't know where the shame comes from. I mean, for me, maybe I don't feel that because it wasn't a thing. It wasn't a thing at all when I was growing up. So I felt like kind of lost in what's out there, what's available. I mean, if the BDSM survey was out when I was in my 20s, I don't know where I would be as far as maybe even a different partner, But again, it goes to that whole thing that I was saying earlier today: head, heart, hot pocket.
I have a question. The BDSM survey, is that the BDSMtest.org or is it a different one?
No, Rob.
This is wrong.
Where is that?
I haven't seen yours, so I'll have to take a look.
Yeah, mine is, I've seen the BDSM.org one. I've seen all the ones they had. This goes a lot more in depth because it talks about, it has different chapters in it where it talks about safety, red light, green light. It talks about establishing safe words, establishing limits. It talks about things that you'll like, including sensation and touching. So it's not just about BDSM. It's about all the things people forget to ask about that you wouldn't think. Like, where do you want to be touched? What part of your body? It's like there are certain people who don't want to be touched certain places. As funny as this sounds, I've known people like, just do me a favor, don't touch my armpits. My armpits, it's not even that I'm ticklish, it annoys me. Stay away from that. And you find out right away because you asked about how do you know what sex toy you have. As a woman, you should know how to masturbate yourself. You should know where your stimulation is. You should know where your G-spot is and how to get there and what stimulates you and what feels good. That's up to you, and that's self-care. It's the ability to have self-care and understand your body. As a man, a lot of women thinks it's very easy for a man to get off. It's not as easy as most people make it out to be. Yes, they can orgasm, but there's a lot more that goes into that orgasm, and there are different levels of orgasms. Men don't talk about this because men are taught not to talk about sex. We're taught that women are in charge of sex, and our job is just to be there. Men are intimidated by things that vibrate and get plugged in and have batteries when they shouldn't be. These are the same men who use power tools to build a house but suddenly want to do everything by hand in the bedroom. It makes no sense. It makes no sense.
I agree.
Whatsoever. Yeah.
You have it.
There you go.
Right? It's amazing how many people just get freaked out. And I would have, so I get it, right? By like a pussy puppet. And a little dildo, right? And I have the cutest ones because I love purple and stuff. But people, Nita's like, oh.
She's gonna die. Nita is gonna kill me. You guys don't understand. She's going to kill me when she sees me in August. No, but so that's the thing. Okay, so now when people have issues or they have questions and they're not comfortable talking to people, how do you start those conversations to help them open up a little bit? Because Beth, I know you've got Sexy Ed School.
Yeah.
So I mean, if you could tell us a little bit about that, and then, just, and again, how do people open up when it makes them so uncomfortable, and it's just like, there's a part of you that feels wrong, and it's like holding back, but at the same time, it's just like, I got to do something different, or I am not happy.
Right. And sexy doesn't just get better on its own. It just doesn't. And, I had a lawyer who suggested that sex is, quote, natural, so we shouldn't have to talk about it. And I was like, okay, I said, pooping and peeing is natural too. I said, potty training is learned. And that's what stops us from walking through shit all the time. So we need to take that very same approach and recognize that we have to go out of our ways to learn to be a good lover, to learn to be a good, sexy partner for ourselves. As you were saying, like, women need to self-pleasure. It's just, we need to understand our bodies, or we're not going to let anybody else, right? And the same. So my whole mission is preach and teach. So one, I told you I wrote a book. So I did. I wrote a book called Love and Laughter, Sexy, Meaningful Fun for Everyone. And I wrote it for women because it's the book, it's the permission I needed years ago to start touching my body, to learn how to tune into it. Because everything in the world tells us, tune it out, right? Tough it out. Don't feel that. Don't feel that emotion. Don't feel that sensation. Don't cry. Don't get your heart broken. Bullshit. So I started with the book, and then sexyedschool.com is where the classes that I was doing live, I've started recording, and I want it to be like a university of sexy, where so far I've got how to blow his mind while loving his body. I've got the art of orally pleasuring her. I've got how to increase your orgasm like almost 10 times with a prostate massager. And BDSM is coming next, and then more about the 5 kinds of intimacy. Those will be up in about a month or something. So we have to read, and there's so many different books, but we need to talk, and we need to recognize. If you don't go out of your way, it's very unlikely that you'll just accidentally be a great lover. At least not a well-rounded, right? You might excel at a couple of different things, but.
And that's the thing. It's like, and this is going to make Nita even more. Nita, do you need to go? Okay. So, because I'm going to say the word masturbation.
Godzilla. Oh my God, I failed. Oh my God.
And the reason why I'm saying is that, okay, so it's a natural thing, and we disassociate.
I am. I'm trying to picture faces on the ceiling.
When
but they all have their hands in their pants.
Oh my God.
I have a little sadist in me, just a little.
But see, that's the thing. It's like when I remember I have a really early memory of when I was very, very young. And it wasn't about sex even. It was just about that feeling, like it felt good. And I remember being very young, and I was kind of rocking on the couch. And I was like, yeah, no, okay, so she's gone. And I was just like, and it felt good. And my mother was just like, whack, don't do that. And I just remember, I'm like, what did I do wrong? I don't remember doing anything wrong. And then as a parent, and my boys, all right, and I'm going to embarrass the hell out of them, but I'm going to say it anyway. My boys, when they were young, all right, I mean, like teeny tiny things, again, not about sex, but how it felt. They would be like on the ground, and they could be kind of rubbing and stuff like that.
Oh my God, that drives me crazy.
Yeah,
I don't fuss at them, but still,
I don't fuss at them. But I say, listen,
stop dry humping my pillows.
I'm like, I know what you're doing. I know it feels good, but you can't do it in the living room.
Yeah.
If you want to do that, go to your bedroom. And I never wanted to give them that sense of shame or the sense that it was wrong, because it's not.
I don't want my kids to be like me.
Right, to be all like, I didn't want to be repressed and things like that. And it wasn't until I was like in between relationships where I was just like, because I'm not the one night stand kind of girl, but I was like, at that point, I felt like I wanted to sleep my ex out of my system. So I'd be like, hey, yeah, you'll do. And so I had these behaviors that are not me. And it wasn't that I felt shame afterwards. I didn't, but I was just like, not for me, but
Short-term diet. That's all. Short-term diet.
Short-term diet. And and so it was just a matter of, okay, so now what do I turn to? Like, how am I going to find maybe the toy that's right for me? Because I don't want to do that. I don't want to have that kind of physical intimacy without the emotional. And and so it was just like, all right, self-care. That was the other option, because the other option, going out and having those one night stands was not for me. But I felt like I needed to go through that in order to grow as a person and understand what I like, what I don't like, and where those limits are for me.
Mm-hmm.
I will say, though, two things I want to just quickly talk about since we're talking about this. First, everyone has to understand sexual compatibility is a real thing. You have to appreciate it, understand it, and know that if it's not in your relationship, that means you're not a good match. You
Right.
should walk away. Do not try to stay in a relationship with someone you're not sexually compatible with. And there's nothing wrong with it. Just because you can't get this person off doesn't mean there isn't someone you can. Doesn't mean it's your skill. It's just even possibly your interest or sets. I know I've been with women who have, and this is our society. This is about, don't be a slut, don't be a whore. They get in their own mind and they suddenly can't orgasm. When they get out of their mind, the things that you do. And BDSM is a good thing with that, because it kind of takes you out of your comfort zone and it puts you in a place where you can really just enjoy yourself, and you you don't think anymore. When you're tied up, you're thinking about being tied up. And there's an interesting aspect to that. And I don't think people appreciate that enough. And a lot of it is you have to get out of your own mind. You can't expect anyone to be a certain way. You have to work with them to get it that way. So sexual compatibility requires a lot of trust and a lot of understanding and a lot of conversations. I was dismayed to find out that the average guy lasts 8 minutes. I didn't I was like, wow, like women accept that. Like I was blown away that was the average time. And it suddenly made sense why women, especially when I started sleeping with them, were like, you can finish anytime you want and in an hour in. Because I don't go for short terms. I don't know what it is. I just never have. I generally go for a while. And one of the problems that I think it comes from is, and this is just to tell you how bad it is what we do to our children. We make kids ashamed of who they are. We make them ashamed of their sexuality. So when they grow up, they're kids like me who did not actually masturbate. I didn't masturbate till I had sex, and it was because the first time I had sex, it was so bad because I was drunk and I was high. It was so bad, I was like, what does everyone make a big deal about this? I barely remember it. And it wasn't the girl. The girl was beautiful. It's just, it was all the aspects of it, and I didn't understand it because I didn't do anything kinky, and I thought maybe it was because I didn't do anything kinky. So I went home and I was like, all right, let's try this thing. Let's see how this works. And I started self-care. But before that, I'd actually learned how to masturbate without touching myself. It's called, I'm going to say the word wrong here, but tantrum. It's the ability to not touch yourself and be able to still ejaculate. And it was funny because I'd go into the bathroom and I'd have gotten the BDSM magazines because I'm so old we didn't have the internet, you fuckers. And I would look at the pictures and I'd be able to do it without ever touching myself. And that made me a very different sexual partner because I can completely control my body like few men have learned to actually do. And I can not come. Like I can even stop myself from getting hard. I can choose every aspect of my body. I'm like the Incredible Hulk. It can go like that, or I can choose not to. And it really, I think women aren't, like, from my sexual experience with women, they're not used to a man who can fully control his own body, who can act
like that,
who isn't just
Not like that.
Like I've had women like, oh, come on, we'll just have sex. I'm like, no, I'm angry. We're having this fight. I act more like a woman that way.
Yeah, we've said that behind your back a couple times.
I want to have the fight. I want to have the fight because I was raised to talk about emotions. I'll give my mother and me had a complicated relationship. The one thing she always did where she expressed the need to express ourselves. Even for me growing up as a man in the 90s, she took me to shrinks and they said, you have to talk about your feelings. I didn't talk to him about that, but I never didn't hear what they said. It just took a while for it to rattle around in my drunk brain, for it to come out and finally make sense. And now I do. My emotions matter. How I feel about something matters. I need to discuss it, and I'll discuss it until I'm heard. And when I'm heard, if someone doesn't, I'll just be, if someone tells me they don't like something, I accept it. I've gotten to that point in my life. Okay, you don't like it. I'm not going to try and change your mind. That's something I can't change if you don't like it. But if there's another reason or aspect to it, then I can talk about that. And that's what you have to do. You have to accept what people tell you at face value. Don't fight with them, but stand up for yourselves. And in sexuality, you have to do that as well. If you just don't want to be treated a certain way, say it. But if you want to be treated a certain way, do it. A thumb in the ass won't kill you. If that's what you want, just ask for it. Buy rubber gloves. It's really not that hard. They have lubes. Like, you have to understand, don't be intimidated by this. The same people who will get really excited about a video game don't get as excited about sex because they're nervous about it. But really what you're doing is you're looking at these hot girls and going to jerk off in a bathroom. No. Fucking have sex with your lover. Go ahead, Beth.
Oh, well, no. I actually think in some ways, what if we just give people permission? Be nervous because you're new to it, and that's okay.
Oh, yeah, that's cool. That's the excitement.
Yeah, that's right. Exactly. That realize no matter how old we are, right? I'm 55 years old. The fact that I can get nervous and get like a teenager again is so cool. I have clients in their 70s that are having this sexual renaissance. And I mean, they're having the best sex of their entire lives. They're horny as hell. And it's like, they are like teenagers and they're nervous and and it's awesome. And I think that's it. Like, don't try to be cool. If you've never done something, go, holy shit, I can't believe it. I'm scared to death. What's going to happen? Oh, I've never had a thumb up my ass. What do I do? And just laugh about it, right? And just recognize that, because you're right. You just have to do it. And I want you to come on I have a podcast called Come With Us podcast. I'd love to come have you come with us and talk about how you touch yourself to come. That's fascinating and really something people would love to know about, because I love to do that.
And I'm fascinated.
Be tuning into that show. Will not.
Beth, it's called Catholic guilt. I want to touch it. I'm not touching it.
I am fascinated with Rob, because when you say that you have that much control, it's like, where's the pleasure in that? Because it feels, to me, I'm translating that as like, it's so compartmentalized. It's like, where is the pleasure?
The control. I remember I'm a dominant person, like a dominant person.
GoFundMe for my therapy,
or the relief.
Right, Courtney.
I can come without touch too, but I have electric stim in my spine, so I actually have electric running from my mid back down to my toes. Oh. So that's always going. I don't need to change it, but I can come without touch just because I have that, and I already could come easily and have multiples before because I've been using vibrators since I was 16.
Mm-hmm. Daily. I'm orgasmically jealous. Just understand. Happens but damn, yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, what?
I am fucking hard work, dude. Even to myself. Sometimes even with myself, I'm like, okay, bitch, you're taking too long. Let's get it done.
Because you're getting in your head.
Fuck it. Go wash your hands and fucking forget about it. Fuck you. Go get dressed. Let's go.
Because you're overthinking about it.
I can't help it.
But that is it's the cock block. That's really what it is.
As the guy on Home Improvement, was it Home Improvement? Yeah, he said more power. That's all you need is some more power. Like, we're talking Hemi engine stuff, but no,
Rob, are you paying for my therapist?
No, but we can go together, get a discount rate. The one thing I do want to say though. We could talk about sex the whole time. The one thing I want to say is women don't understand this. Men can actually come more than once. I remember I did
multiple.
Liar.
They can.
Never date your best friend for one reason, because you'll get competitive in the bedroom.
Women can't even.
One time, me and my best friend decided that we were going to see who could last longer. She lost. 8 hours later, I was just
8
coming,
hours.
but I could.
Oh my God, she needed Neosporin at that point.
I'd be like, are you
Band-Aid.
done yet? Damn.
I was 20. I was
Like,
20.
I'm
I
gonna
could
be-
have got another 6. All
I'm
I
gonna
needed
be
was a
walking
quick
bow-legged
soda.
for her.
She was.
God.
For like a week.
I've done 9 hours. Yes, yeah, I couldn't walk for 2 days. Then I did 7 after the 2 days.
Oh my God. See, you
She was
people
like, yeah,
were my
I'm never playing
friends.
that game again. She's like, there's something wrong with you, like fundamentally wrong with you.
It's fun.
I can keep going. It does hurt after a while though. Like it does start to like. Well, I'm sure it hurts for women too when it starts getting sore. Because imagine it's out of liquid, so it's like.
Oh, that's awful. No, that's a different kind of sadistic something.
Yeah, it's air coming out now, Nita. That's what happens. Like air bubbles.
Stop, Rob. Stop. Fucking stop.
But guys can have
Like,
multiple too.
Godzilla, motherfucker. Godzilla.
It's not even like
Godzilla.
come and then have a break. They can. You could give a guy can have 2 or 3 or more orgasms at once.
I giggle.
And a lot of people don't understand that men can have them too, just like women can have multiples. Men can have them.
I get giggly in between though. I'll admit for like a few seconds, I just can't laugh. You touch
How
it.
could a woman even want another? Like, by the time you're like, oh my God, shut the fuck up.
Oh, and I
It's
love
fun.
dry orgasms. I think that's a nifty trick, right? Is
What the fuck is that?
a dry orgasm where they don't
Yeah.
ejaculate. There's no spooge, but they have all the pleasure, which is pretty cool.
Dudes or chicks?
Well,
Men.
Men do that? Men can do that?
You get dehydrated. See, now if you tie a woman into place and then use a vibrator on her, it's the funniest thing to watch because the orgasms start to build and get worse and worse and worse and worse. And it's just so amazing to watch. You're like, yes, how are you doing now? Stop, I can't take it anymore. Sure you can. You'll be okay. You'll be, because they have a safe word. They might have forgotten it. It's not my problem. We're just going to keep going.
What I think is funny is, like, as a woman, have you guys ever stopped to think about what a man's orgasm might be?
I thought about it. I've always been curious what they feel compared, because I know with mine, I can have one orgasm, but normally I have multiple even if I'm alone.
Yeah.
So I'm always curious what it's like for a guy, especially the multiple, because I had one guy tell me, I gave him a multiple that was 3 in a row, and he goes, you can't ever do that to me again. And I said, why? He goes, I can't handle it. Don't do that to me again. I'm like, but it was fun.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what a male's orgasm is. Don't tell any woman I told you this. I'm going to get in trouble with the guy. So here it is. When a guy comes, he becomes a genius. It is the one time he can figure anything out. And he always figures out, damn, I should have done this differently. I should have done this or that. That's the only thing he can focus on. No, I'm kidding. An orgasm just, it feels like you'd expect it. Tingles in all the weird places. And as a man, you're trying not to sound like a girl. You're like,
And the faces, right? Yeah.
I grab.
I didn't realize, but I think for men, I tell women, it's kind of like, maybe from what I understand, it's like it's just our arm orgasmed, right? Some men,
Your body.
I think you have whole body orgasms. I don't think most men do unless the prostate's involved.
No, that's true. No, I feel it from
Not
like
true.
I could feel like an electrical current through me. It's pretty like when I'm having sex, especially like if I know I'm getting my partner up, I growl. And it's weird because I'm self-conscious about growling, so I actually sound like an animal more so. And I've had them, oh, no, you can growl. But, like, it just sounds weird. Like, I hear myself, and I'm like, oh, you sound like a bitch. Don't growl. What's wrong? I get so subconscious. I'm like, this is not sexy. I'm sorry. This is not how you're supposed to sound as a man. Because as a man, we're raised not to understand. You try to talk to another guy about – I have so many friends since I did this BDM survey who come up to me, and it's so awkward even how they start the conversation. How you doing, Rob? I'm okay. You good? Yeah, I'm good. So what's up today? I'm like, okay, what? And they're like, so that BDSM survey, like, how's it work? And I'm like, you read it, and you answer questions. So if I was like interested, do you want a copy? I will send you a copy. And then like an hour later, you get the weird conversations. I got to ask you a question. But men want to talk about it, but they're so awkward because we're raised to like we're first off raised to treat every sexual adventure as a conquest instead of what it is, sharing time. And I realized during the Me Too movement, I had actually been raised that way. Women were trophies instead of what I wanted them to be, partners. And I had grown out of it as an adult, but I realized I came from that Sam Malone Cheers aspect. But where we didn't talk about the sex, but we talked about how to get sex, and the only goal was to have sex. But for me, the goal is to have meaningful sex and a return. Like if someone's not asking you to come back again, you done fucked up. You want someone to come back. I have had exes who don't want to have a relationship with me, but absolutely will have sex with me. That's something, right? Like I can't stand you as a human being, but what are you doing tomorrow night?
I think you're right that men are hungry for information and conversation. And I did a stint on ESPN in Houston on the radio with them. And midweek, drive time, I don't know how they let me get away with this in frickin' Houston, but they did. And we talked about everything. Their ratings went up 68% with an 80% audience of men, right? They just are starved and they don't know where. And I say, right, men are taught not even to ask directions. So who the hell can they ask about sex? So that's part of why I just talk and they kind of listen and pick up, right? And that's when you talk about how to instigate conversations with a partner. Sometimes I think you just try and just start talking and you share yourself and you go, this is making me nervous. I'm kind of worried you're going to judge me, whatever. You open yourself up and then you give them.
You get frustrated and you're like, hey, dude, we got to talk.
Yes.
Like, fucking, you reach that point and it's like,
right,
something's not working here. And I'm going to give you some clues as to what can help it.
Yeah.
Tell you how many people come to my table and picked up the BDSM survey and their partner looked at them and was like, I didn't know you were into stuff like that. What are you into? Like the door opens. That's why BDSM survey, I tell everyone it's a great relationship tool. It's something that, let's just buy this and hee hee ha ha, it's funny. And I've had people say, hey, is this good to have a partner sit with you? Because I want to kind of tell them, because you'll get people who you could tell are nervous. They want to see what their partner says. This is a great tool. Things like this are great things. A comic book about a blonde who is adventuring in New York City, Fetish Underground. Those are doorways for other conversations. And I say it all the time. That's why Netflix is good. Oh, well, let's check out this bonding show. I heard it's stupid. Let's just see how it is. And the first season's horrible. The first
season was terrible.
The second one's not bad, though.
I wouldn't even watch the second one after the first.
No, it's legit. You could tell that they got in trouble and they had to go back and actually pay attention. Because they had some good information. Not totally great, but I love the actors. The actors are good. But it's a doorway. Look at things as doorways. Start conversations, and don't be afraid to be assertive of your wants, desires, but also give room for a person to say, hey, I might not be into that, and be patient with them. You get a lot more by planting the seed than coming in with the construction crew and trying to drop a tree in their lawn.
Right. Especially because men hate when they don't know something, right? They're supposed to have all the answers. They're supposed to be the sexual, conquistador, and for them,
the leader in the bedroom,
the leader and stuff, right? And so, they have their own baggage and their own taboos and shit. So it does help to give them some heads up or something and let them feel like, okay, they're going to learn or figure it out. And so, yeah, it's something. And I like talking to men because I say when men go home and they tell a woman, oh, I heard this woman talking about sex. Their partner is like, what woman? Let me find her right now. Who is it? Right? But if a woman
gets their attention.
Yeah. If a woman says to a man, oh, I'm listening to a woman talk about sex. He's like, oh, they're just talking about snuggling and romance and telling you how man bashing. So, make you choke. But anyway, but I know you wanted to talk about
Meredith.
Sex toys, Meredith.
God damn. Time's up. What up? Are we going over? We're going over, aren't we?
We're good. Fine with time. So, what's new in 21?
That I don't know.
No,
I still have my toys.
No, what's the new toys? Like, where's the innovation? Where's the new technology? I'm waiting for a sex robot. I'm waiting for better remote vibrators that can actually work through the iPhone and not get
the ring.
That's the last two. The Lush 2 is a Bluetooth and Wi-Fi, so you can either do it long distance, so you can have a partner local in front of you, or 3,000 miles away, and they can control you. And that's pretty cool. And you can set it to music. It's on my wish list. But you can use it yourself. You could set it to music and do it yourself, which is awesome for you, Nita. You could just put it in.
Shut up, Heather. Don't invoke my name in this. Like, don't. I have just enough alcohol to accept the fact that Meredith's not a virgin. Okay.
It would have made her kids have to explain that one.
God. But I think women should think of vibrators like shoes. I say every woman needs a pair of flip-flops, sneakers, black walking shoes, and black pumps, right?
At least.
No, pumps, right? And so there's not one perfect vibrator. And there's every woman needs a collection. It's not just the one. It depends on what the mood is. You want to set different kinds of romantic shows. You want different, I call them passion props, because toys are for children, and I want something that's really like beautiful and special, and I don't know. And so and then everybody should have a prop closet, and I'll just like show you. So this is my favorite, most beautiful flogger, hand painted roses, right?
Holy shit.
And they're gorgeous, and they're meant to show
them up again.
Sorry,
very pretty.
And
love
look at the handle. It's just
it's beautiful.
So
the colors are
right, and everybody should have things that we're proud of.
Oh yeah.
A quick piece of advice: if people want to get a sense of a vibrator, if they go into a store and they wonder what it's going to feel like, well, the best place to test a vibrator, since you can't drop your pants, perhaps, is the tip of your nose.
Oh my God!
Get out of here, Beth.
There you go.
See, I just can tell from holding it, and I know what it's gonna feel like.
I never freaking knew that.
Oh yes.
Nita's freaking out. She's and the next thing she's gonna be like,
No, that is not where my mind was.
I had no idea.
You were so innocent until tonight. You were in my
Wow.
head.
Even I knew that. But I think that there's a lot of different things. Though.
Meredith was the saint.
Like when I have somebody that'll come talk to me and ask me about sex toys. I mean, I don't know. I must have that face that it could be someone for their
I had enough alcohol the other day. I almost asked you some shit. I'd probably be regretting right now. No, I'm not.
But like I've had everything from a kid where like my friend has said, "Hey, can you talk to my kid? They're getting sexually active. I'm concerned. Would you talk to them about sex toys?" And I've had, when I was stuck in the hospital after my car accident, I had a 90-some-year-old woman that as soon as her adult kids that were older than me left the room, she asked me about BDSM and being bi and toys. And I'm like, I swear it wasn't me. I did not start this conversation.
My bad.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, everything. But I find like when people say, well, what's good for you? I say, well, what do you like in the bedroom? What do you like to do for yourself? What do you enjoy? Mm-hmm. Because that will absolutely gear them towards at least a first toy. Something so they can associate what they normally like with a toy, and then they can expand their collection and try different things. If someone doesn't like anal, they're not going to want anything there. Start with something that they're comfortable with. Mm-hmm. And that is my biggest thing that I tell people, and then find, you don't want to get something off Wish because it can harbor bacteria. It's not made with the right materials. Yeah. Make sure you use the right lubes with the right toys and all of that. And people are like, wait, KY? I'm like, don't use KY. There's so many other things out there. It's the worst thing for a woman. Don't ever use KY.
Come back. Why not?
Yeah.
Why not?
KY's got so much stuff in it, so many chemicals.
I don't usually need that or any.
But it's not. It wasn't really meant for a woman. It wasn't made for a woman. It really isn't. It can give women a lot of issues, throw off their pH, throw off their balance and everything. You don't want to use that. There's so many better, whether it's silicone or
all right, Meredith, I gotta read
you
your package.
See, she's sending me stuff, so it's not all me.
Yeah. But even doctors don't know that there's so many different not only different categories of lube, like water-based lube, silicone, and then hybrid in the middle, but then the quality is so different, and doctors don't know, and that's where you need to find somebody who really focuses. Like, Heather knows so much about this stuff, and there are people around the country and around the world that really, we take this stuff seriously, and it matters. And it's the difference between enjoying sexy or not, right?
Well,
because
and honestly, like I learned the hard way that some toys, like you have to store them separately, otherwise
silicone.
Because they melt, and it was just like, oh my God, like what is that doing to me?
They bond together.
Yeah,
silicone and silicone will bond, which is why you can't use silicone lube with a silicone toy. Because it will bond to the toy and it'll damage your toy. Same reason.
You know what else does that? Tackle. The worms you fish with. So
you don't want to use tackle on your toys either.
Fucking tackle box. And Meredith, be careful. Don't melt your tackle.
Don't melt your tackle box.
And never fall asleep with a Hitachi. I could tell you it's a really bad idea.
God, that story gives me nightmares, Heather. I'm so sorry that happened to you.
Never ever fall asleep with a Hitachi.
And that's why I have nothing electric, nothing with batteries, and one thing that goes all by itself alone.
Batteries die. If it plugs in, it doesn't die.
Oh my fucking God. Okay, Rob Jr.
Right, but I mean, just finding the right one, because we're all shaped differently also, So, I mean, taking into consideration the size, what it does, and everything like that. It's just, and there's so much out there. If somebody is brand new and they were looking for their very first toy.
Is that Lilo?
No.
Or is that, who is that?
These are all like demo. This was Spockholm. And this is Fun Factory, but just the difference in size you can see.
Yeah,
they're all different, and you might not know, and that's why give yourself a break. Don't expect perfection. But the first things you buy, you're just going to kind of use your best judgment, but go where you can actually talk to somebody, right? That's where just ordering online, you're just gonna, God knows what you do.
How do you do that with a total stranger? I can't even do that with my best friend.
Then you talk to me,
right,
Heather,
or you talk to Beth.
Heather.
Yeah.
Heather.
I mean, I have people
in the
shop all the time who never
the thing back in your mouth.
Who never bought a vibrator.
Stop it, you're making me feel
I could talk to my mom about vibrators. I could talk to
your
you
mom.
About
okay, I'm not your mom, Heather.
My nephew asked me questions. I answered them.
I'm not your nephew either. Okay.
You can talk to me.
Hello, while it's Autism Awareness Month, I am fucking sensory overloaded right now. You guys recognize.
So we won't turn on the vibrator in front of you.
Fucking charts.
Yeah. So we won't turn on the vibrator. You'll just put it in front of you.
Oh my God.
I'd love to talk about the difference between like sex for autistic and Asperger's and sex for, ADHD.
Oh my God,
right?
why?
It's different.
It's fucked up. It's fucked up. That's what it is.
And we just need to talk about it though, to give people a break and help understand things. And I
got this. I've had enough alcohol now. Maybe. All right, what you want to know? Shut up, Meredith. I'm trying to pretend like you're not even here. I'm trying to just look at Rob, Beth, and Heather. Meredith's gone.
There's a difference too, because of the way we compartmentalize things. Okay, because I'm an Aspie. I'm on a higher functioning.
Issues.
Yeah, and
higher
I do
functioning
have
than what, Meredith? Higher functioning than Nita.
Higher functioning Asperger's.
Higher functioning than Nita. That's what she's saying.
No. But it's one of those things where my brain is wired. The things that I like is different from other people, and I have to recognize that. And so when I'm curious about things, I mean, for the longest time, I didn't feel comfortable in my own skin to talk about these things, and at some point I got to a point where I was just like, I don't give a fuck. I want this information because I want to feel good, and so that for me was kind of a renaissance. It's just like, oh, all right, well, and now it's just kind of like, well, that looks interesting, or,
Oh my
I'd like to
God.
do that. And, maybe I'm not having those conversations with my husband. And again, a lot of that could be physical, it could be age, it could, whatever the case might be. But that doesn't mean I love him less, and that doesn't mean that our sex life is completely dead.
But does
It
it mean the
just
older
means,
you get, the hornier you get? Because that's what it just sounded like to me.
well, I mean, for me now
Absolutely
it's
it
more about
Like,
it's
no,
no,
please, just
it's
like
more
fade off
about
and go away.
self-discovery,
No.
and just going, because now my body is changing. Okay, I am perimenopause on top of everything else. So those things have changed. My hormones are changing, my needs are changing. And so now I'm like on this quest. It's like, okay, what feels good now? What feels good now is not what felt good when I was in my 20s. All right. Or even after having kids. So, I mean, those are all things that we have to consider. And it's like our body changes, our psyche changes, what our likes and dislikes are. It's like, and I don't want to limit myself because I don't want to talk about it. It's not a comfortable conversation for me personally, but I'm like, yeah, I don't care. What are you going to say? What are you going to say? Because I'm not hurting anybody. I just want to find that pleasure so that it's like, why not be a well-rounded person? And I think a lot of that is self-care too.
Yeah. Well, I'm 55, and I wish somebody had told me that I would have the best sexy of my life in my 50s.
Yeah.
Because it's amazing to me, and for all different reasons. And I'm already past menopause, right? I've got menopause.
Oh, I'm so jealous. I am jealous of your menopause.
Yeah, I'm in it. It sucks.
I will tell you, like, I had this one story. So I have the greatest dentist. I went to the dentist a few years ago, and I'm like, oh my God. I said, I had a new boyfriend. I was like, my tongue is so sore. It feels like sandpaper. I think I'm giving too many blowjobs. And my dentist looks at me, and she's in her 70s now, and she says, oh, Beth, honey. She's like, that's just menopause. What? But I didn't know this. I was like, how did somebody not tell me this? That not only does your pussy get dry, your skin gets dry, your tongue gets dry, your eyes get dry. Oh my God, it was amazing. So truly, there's lube for your mouth. It makes a big difference.
Yeah. And I'm so glad that I had this conversation, because now I'm like, okay, now I know what to look for, but that's the thing. If we don't talk about it, right, it's a big mystery. And then you have a lot of people who are kind of miserable and repressed and
feeling,
I don't know. And it's, I don't think it's fair to yourself. And when you don't feel good, you can't take it out on other people. Mm-hmm. It's that whole ripple effect.
Yeah. And just like men can have trouble getting erections as they get older, women, it gets harder to have orgasms. Our blood flow doesn't flow as well to our clit and stuff too. Mm-hmm. And so it can be more difficult for women also to get aroused and to get over the hump of orgasm too. And again, we need to know that. And that's why permission to use a vibrator is a good thing. And so men, I say it's the keys to the kingdom with the female partner. Doesn't matter if you come too fast, you come too slow, or you drink too much whiskey, you can always take care of her. Mm-hmm. And for women who say, oh, I don't need a vibrator, I'm like, well, hell, I don't need whipped cream either. But damn if it doesn't make my life so much better and turn ice cream into something fabulous, And ice cream's great by itself, but it's awesome with some whipped cream and sprinkles and a cherry and sauce and bananas and anyway. Yeah.
Rob, you've been kind of quiet over there.
No reason. I'm just listening.
Oh, okay. But we are at an hour and 13, so we've got about 15 minutes before we're at the 90-minute mark. What didn't we talk about?
Nothing. There's nothing we did not talk about. Nothing. Not anything.
About.
There is so much more to talk about, but not in 15 minutes.
We haven't even talked about the balls. We haven't talked about anything to do with nipples and the sensitivity that nipples are. The weird and abnormal erogenous areas that men and women are avoiding and not really doing. I mean, come on, Nita, I could do this for days. Forget days. This is just the surface, Nita. We didn't even talk about the different ampage that the different vibrators have and have their different settings. We didn't even talk about how
I don't want something going inside my vagina that I have to jump start or that has a clutch.
It doesn't have to go in. It can just,
Yeah, just right on your clit.
Oh my God, Heather, don't talk to me like this. No.
there's
You guys are my friends. Do you realize how bad this is fucking my head up? The only person that I didn't establish a relationship inside my fucked up head was before tonight was Beth. Beth could say whatever she fucking wanted and get away with it. You guys are fucking giving me PTSD. I love you. I love you, Rob. I love you, Meredith.
how is this shocking to you?
It's not. It's
All
not.
right, so we're gonna give the floor to Beth for a minute.
Your mouth traumatized me because Heather is Heather in my head. Meredith is Meredith in my head. I will never be able to look at Meredith the same way again.
Right,
Meredith
but
was
that's a good thing.
almost God to me. No, it's not.
No, it's not good.
I will be like visualizing Meredith masturbating if I try to touch myself. And so there goes my chance of any success.
Well, then maybe you'll get off faster.
Rob, oh my God, dude. I shouldn't. Why am I even here? No.
But I think this is part of the problem is that we don't allow people to see the whole person 360, right? And sexy.
Right, because people I'm not sleeping with don't need to see that, Beth.
What?
People I'm sleeping with don't need to see the whole me.
Why
I'm
not?
not sleeping with don't need to see the whole me. They don't.
Well,
Oh my
But we
God.
need to be ourselves.
But
Yeah.
no one should ever feel like they can't express who they are. And you should be able to have these conversations. So we've been raised to not have these, and that's dangerous. Not having them is more dangerous than having them any day of the week. Because
Agreed.
okay. Because I mean, think about it. We could talk about how we would kill someone, but we're nervous about how we'd sleep with them.
I'd much rather talk about how I murdered someone.
Oh,
I have
no.
all kinds of
Look,
ideas and plans for that
But
shit.
it's the same thing. Like you go to buy a computer, you're going to ask questions. What does it do? What is it? Is it right for me? Does it have the right things I need to? You do the same thing with a toy. What does it do? What is it made of? What does it come with? What kind of programs? Is it rechargeable, waterproof? What is it used for?
And
You need to know all these things.
And there are vibrators you can use on your phone that you can actually make your own different unique touches to that actually
Lush too.
perfect rhythm. And you can put it to music now. You can literally have Metallica playing that will actually go for every drum beat. I love it.
iBod, We Vibe.
Yeah, and
There's
there
a
are
few of
some
them.
that will sync to porn, right? If you're watching a certain porn, they're going to basically sync up to that, and they're going to be like fucking you, just like somebody's fucking on the TV.
There's a
What the
video game of some
fuck,
sort like that
real?
goes like that too.
Yeah.
I know that there's some kind of a video game. I mean, and there's more toys for men now that there never was before. Men were kind of limited to prostate massagers, whereas now there's things like the auto blow. There are a lot more sleeves. It's not just the fleshlight with some different things. There's so many options now for men that they didn't have before.
Yeah.
And women were just getting more and more of them.
Yeah. But it should be fun. It should be exciting. I think, once a month, people should get something new because just like recipes, I mean, we get tired of the same thing and we want to have enough in our repertoire so that we'd never get tired. We're always like, oh, give me more. I want to do that again. Remember when and pull that out, right? And we can have a oldies but goodies and
or go shopping with your partner.
Yeah.
I mean, going together to pick something out is a lot of fun, and it's sexy and it's a turn on, and it's fun to say, oh, what about this? Whether it's lingerie or a toy, it's something, or an accessory. I mean, it's something that is fun that you can use together. It doesn't always have to be by yourself, and a lot of the stuff you can use by yourself too, which is just fine too.
Now, guys, do not tell your partner that's a female that you are bored with her. Watch your wording.
Oh God,
you better not say that if it's a dude. You won't be fucking in months, dude. He won't be sloppy for a fucking year.
You tell a guy he's not to be right, he's going to go out and he's going to read a book. He's going to get more information.
I disagree. I think you would knock his self-esteem. Maybe you, Rob, because you're different.
Yep.
You're the exception to the rules, all the rules of every kind of fucking rule of every fucking rule that was ever made. But like, no, you
No.
will break his self-esteem and
Yep.
he won't even be able to get it up. So
All I
yeah,
see
no,
is the Rocky
you don't
montage,
say that.
me
You don't
working
say that
out,
to a
me
dude either.
figuring it out. Like,
Mm-mm.
But
I
that's what, instead of bored, you tell people, I want to rock the boat a little bit, right?
Yeah.
We've been on calm waters. That's a much easier way because that's both of you. It's not a slight on one. It's like, okay, it's positive motion instead of, oh, I don't like what's been going on. So
Right.
So I was watching porn and I saw this position or I saw this toy and I really want to try it out. It depends on how you are with your partner too, if they have a problem with porn or not. Or I saw this vlog, or my girlfriend got this toy and I'm curious about it. What do you think?
Yeah.
Guys don't ever want to know what most of us talk about.
Well, and I tell my clients all the time, I'm like, just throw me under the bus.
even
You know that crazy woman, Beth, said blah, 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 right? I give men permission to enjoy the prostate. I think they're crazy not to, right? It's like, if I could increase my orgasm 10 times, I'd be fucking wearing a prostate massager. But, and so I just say, just blame it on Beth. Hey, this crazy woman I heard talking on Freaky Friday said this, blah, blah, blah. And then if you like it, you say, oh, okay, maybe she knew what she was talking about. If you don't like it, you say, God, she's a fucking idiot. Either way, you guys win, you bond over that experience together. And I'm tough and it works. So use whatever excuses you have to. Just make something good happen. That's all.
Rob, you were going to say something.
Oh,
it was basically covered. It all comes down to, again, communication, on knowing how to establish things, knowing how to talk about things. I mean, also you have to understand to worry about challenging yourself in the bedroom. Don't make things conquest. Instead, make them growing experiences. Don't make it something. One of the things I've always heard, and this comes from the BDSM background, is I've asked too many questions, which is sometimes a good thing to have, but it's more of a learning curve. So learn how to ask your questions in a better way. Don't give like questionnaires after sex. Just be open to hearing what the feedback is, because I like to learn. And once I learn, I always look at being with a partner. You should learn their body like an instrument. So learn how to play it, learn how to have it bend to your will when you want to sexually, and it's more fun for both of you. And women, try to explore your man's body. There's more than a fucking penis. I'm just saying, there's more than a penis. Learn how to touch, learn the spots that they're comfortable, because guys aren't going to tell you because they're not comfortable telling you. It's just not something we were raised, especially my generation. Hopefully future generations will be a little bit better with this, or anyone outside of America. But most guys won't tell you that their inner thigh is a place where if you rub it, that he'll get instantly hard, because that's just a tick for him. And that's just not something most women understand. And you don't have to be overtly sexual to turn a guy on. A lot of times there's a big thing here that women forget. A woman in a sweater is sometimes more attractive than a woman in a teddy. It's the way it grabs her. It's the way that she's wearing it. It's the smile she has on her face. What I'm saying is you don't have to be overtly sexual. Be natural. Be yourself. Find your comfort. Because if a guy sees you trying too hard, I hate to put it any other way, but it seems forced, they're going to kind of be like, what's going on? This doesn't seem right. Because we're used to, as a man, having to be playful and having to be the one to engage. When you take some of that away from the guy and you're being suddenly sexual, it is kind of like, what's wrong? Why is this so easy? Where's the trap? Like, we feel like it's an Acme trap, and we're the Roadrunner suddenly you're the coyote.
And to add to that too is just not only the communication between you and your partner, but be kind to yourself. Be willing to kind of push those boundaries and things like that. It's you know what your limitations are, but you don't know what you don't know, and you're not going to find out until you experiment a little bit. What do I like? What turns me on? What is going to make me come? All of those things. It's like you have to give yourself permission, and it's okay to do that. Because if you don't know what makes you happy, how are you really going to expect anybody else to get you there? And a lot of people don't understand that with that partner, it's like sometimes they need guidance. Sometimes they need direction. And it's like, hey, if you just did this, you know, it would make me feel better. And if they don't do it after you've conveyed that, guess what? Maybe you need another part.
Mhm.
Just saying. And we are at we're almost at the end of this, you guys. Maybe we can go around the so everybody can tell us where to find you, and we'll close out the show. I thought this was a great conversation.
It was definitely fun. Thank you.
Thank you so much. It was awesome.
Yeah. So let's put you up on the big screen. Heather, let me get you up here first and let people know where they can find you and all that good stuff.
I'm Heather Ellen. You can find me on Facebook as Heather Ellen or Comics and More NJ. Also, I have the group Comics and More Chaos, and you can find me on everywhere else as Comics and More New Jersey.
Okay, Beth.
You can reach me at info@sexyedschool.com. And if you go to sexyedschool.com and you want to use take any of the classes, then we're doing a special coupon for Freaky Friday. Just do all caps, promo code Freaky Friday.
Oh, that's awesome.
$50 off the class at sexyedschool.com. And you can use it before the end of April. So, except the Narrows class, sorry, because that one's short, the prostate massager. You also, by the way, if you sign up for sexyedschool.com, our newsletter, you'll get a free erotic story. So please check me out there and Come With Us podcast. And you can find me on social media, Beth Liebling, or Come With Us podcast. And yeah, I'll see you soon.
And so, Beth, show your book again and where they can find that.
Thank you. See, I forget this stuff. Love and Laughter, Sexy, Meaningful Fun for Everyone. And you have to put the whole title in and maybe even my name, because you can find it on Amazon on Kindle, but they shadow ban us because, God forbid, we should talk about healthy, happy sex. So the nicest compliment I got, I wrote this really for women. It's kind of my story, but one of my clients who's a lawyer told me that it was a sex language translator. He had no idea what his wife was actually thinking or thought about sexy until reading this. So check it out. And yeah, and then that's it. Oh, you can find the book at sexyedschool.com, actually. Then you can go sexyedschool.com and it'll take you directly to the book.
Awesome.
So, thank you all so much. This was so much fun.
Thanks. Rob, I don't think you need an outro or an introduction or anything like that.
I have one ready to go if you'd like it.
Yeah, absolutely. And then we'll be out of here.
Mr. Anderson is the unboxable advocating creator known as the Devilish Comics creator who will tempt you with his devilish tales. He creates books about fetish, monsters, and more, and offers free spanks and hugs. He also teaches morals with farts. Check out the Comics Devil by going to MrAnderson.com. All true stories.
And this has been Freaky Friday, you guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. Make sure that you head over to our YouTube channels and hit the subscribe button. Hit the notifications bell if you ever want to know when we go live. We've got multiple shows across multiple networks between Comic Book Advocates, Geek Insider, RAGIN, and more. I think that's about it, you guys. Thank you, Beth and Heather, for being with us for these 90 minutes. It has really been educational and fun. I thought it was a great conversation, and we need more conversations like that. Freaky Fridays, once a month. It's the first Friday of the month. Make sure that you tune in. We don't know what we don't know, so go out there and explore. On that note, thank you guys. We're out of here. Rob, do we have an outro?
No, we just play the same one because it's cool.